Somebody want to come on this side? No, we're going to go over there. Okay. So I want to tell you guys a story today about a little girl named Anne and the place where she grew up, which was called Staten Island. Now, a long, long time ago, Staten Island was very remote, and because it's an island, all the water around it was full of wildlife, oysters and clams and fish. In fact, in the olden days, there were so many oysters around Staten Island that one of the little towns was called Cocklestown, because that's what people used to call oysters. I don't know why, but they did. Now, Staten Island is part of New York City, and it is right by New York Harbor, which goes right out into the Atlantic Ocean. You guys heard of the Atlantic Ocean, right? It's a big, big ocean. Well, in the 1920s, when Anne's grandmother was a young woman, all the beaches on Staten Island were beautiful and clean, and there were shells everywhere. And people would come from all over New York to take vacations on the beaches at Staten Island. But then New York City got bigger, and the harbor got busier, and the beaches got more crowded, and people threw their trash on the sand. Can you believe it? And boats started polluting the waters. And you could still go in the water, but it wasn't very clean. When Anne was a little girl, her dad and mom would take her to the beaches. But when they got home, her dad would have to clean all the tar from the water off her legs. It was kind of gross. And after a while, the water was so dirty, Anne's dad and mom said, "You can't go to the beach anymore." Well, Anne grew up, and she learned how to ride a bike. And when she could ride all over by herself, she would ride down to the beaches because she still loved the beaches. But there were still no shells. No shells on the beach. And what does that mean when there are no shells on the beach? It means there's no animals in the water. So Anne grew up, and Anne went to college, and then she moved to Ohio. And then, one time when she was visiting her mom and dad, she decided to go down to the beach again. And you know what was all over the sand? Shells! These are the shells Anne collected. You want to see them? Because in the time between when Anne was a kid and Anne went back to the beach, people decided they needed to take care of the water. So, remember I told you about Cocklestown? What kind of shell is this? Do you know? Can everybody see this? You know what this is? It's a cockle shell. It's an oyster shell. There's plenty. You can take one. And these other ones are clam shells. Do you like the clam shells? Would you like to take a shell?
Look at this.
That's like an oyster shell. I have some big oyster shells and little ones. Here's a little one. You have a clam shell. So I have to ask you a question now. Yeah, they usually would go together like that if it was a clam. They're called bivalves because, here, you hold the microphone for a minute. They would go like this. But it's pretty hard to find a clam that's together. Anyway, do you think it made God happy when the water got clean, when people started caring about the water? Do you think God made God happy? Think it made the clams happy? What happens when we keep the water clean? We get animals. The ocean takes care of us by giving us food, right? And instruments. Yeah. So I want everybody to choose one shell, because I have to keep some so I remember too. Thank you for putting them back. Did you want to choose a shell? You did? Okay. And you like that little one? You can keep that too. And when you look at your shell, I want you to remember that God wants us to keep...
I'll keep this
oceans clean. You want to keep a big one and a little one too.
My nose.
It looks funny.
I do.
All right, everyone have a shell?
Oh,
All right, when you
look at me.
bring it home, put it someplace so it reminds you to keep water clean, okay? That's what God wants. Okay, thanks. Don't lose your cockle shell. Uh-oh, now there's sand on the floor. I'm sorry. Proves it from the ocean.